Having these will help you keep your monthly budget and help you stick to your financial goals. I'm going to explain to you about sinking funds, show you which ones you might need, how much to put in them, and where to keep them. Hey there, Brittany Flammer here with videos all about budgeting and money saving tips. If you want to be able to afford to live a life you love, then hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, when I hear that something's sinking, I picture a boat taking on water and dropping to the bottom of the ocean, but that is not the case here. Sinking funds are for planned or anticipated expenses, and they help you stick to your financial goals. You set aside money for irregular expenses, and then you can pay for them when they come. An emergency fund is for an emergency, for unplanned, unexpected expenses. If you want info about an emergency fund, check out my video up there. But sinking funds are not an emergency fund. Sinking funds are for planned and anticipated expenses. What are possible sinking funds? There are so many potential sinking funds. Not everyone needs every single fund, but I'm going to give you an idea of what some common sinking funds are. A car fund, if you're saving up for a new car, or car expenses. Think registration, regular maintenance like oil changes, rotating tires, down payment for a house if you're saving up for a new house, or house expenses. Think regular repairs, your property taxes if they're not included in your mortgage, or if you're saving up for something new on your house like a new roof or a kitchen remodel, something like that. Any holiday could be a sinking fund. Take Christmas for example. It comes on December 25th. Every single year. There's no surprise there, and you know that you're going to spend some money if you're going to be buying gifts or having family over or eating or celebrating in any way. So you can set aside money to pay for that. Vacations, whether you have a specific one in mind or you just know that you want to do something every year. Kids, we all know that kids can be really expensive. One of the things we use in our sinking fund for kids is for extracurriculars. Things that they do that aren't paid monthly, like sports. We might pay them in the spring or the fall or the winter, but not every single month. So we have a fund for those. Back to school. That's another really expensive time, especially if you have several kids. Saving up for clothes or shoes or school supplies, or some students even have class fees, things like that. Medical expenses. If you don't have an HSA or a flex spending account, then you could set aside money just for your routine, regular medical stuff like dentists, doctors, eye doctors, any of that. Subscriptions. Now, I'm not talking monthly subscriptions. I would put those into my regular monthly budget, but some subscriptions are a lot cheaper if you pay a year up front. So I will set aside money for them so that we have money to pay for the full year up front to get the discount. Homeowner's insurance. If yours doesn't come out of your mortgage, you can anticipate how much it will be and set aside money so there's no surprise when you have to pay that bill. Pets, they can be really expensive, whether it's shots or paying someone to watch them when you leave town. I'm not saying you need all of these. These are just some of them that you might need. And these are not all of them. There could be more. I'm sure you could think of more. In the comments down below, let me know of any other sinking funds you can think of that you might use or might want to use. Once you've decided which sinking funds apply to you, how do you know how much money to put in them? Well, there are several ways. One way is to look at last year's expenses. Pull out your bank statements or pull up your credit card statements and look to see how much you spent on them last year, and that can give you a ballpark. For example, I look at my credit card and can see that I spent $1,000 for Christmas last year. So that could be a good starting point for me this year is $1,000. If I went into debt for that, then I should probably drop it. Or if I know we're going to want to spend more this year because we're doing something big, I can increase it. You could also just add up the expected expenses. For example, maybe you have some kids that want to do some extracurriculars. So we can look at the sports that they might want to play, do a little research, see how much in our town it's going to cost to sign them up for those sports, and figure out how much we need in that fund. You could do a little research. Maybe you want a vacation and you know you want to go to Disney World. So look up how much tickets are going to be for your entire family. Get an idea of how much it's going to cost. Say you think it'll be $3,600 for your entire family and you want to go in a year. Just do the math. 3,600 divided by 12 means $360 a month you have to put away for it. Or maybe you're not going for 2 years, so you just have to do $180 a month. Okay, I am in the middle of editing this video and did a terrible job, so I'm going to correct myself. Sinking funds are for expenses that don't fit into your regular monthly budget because they're not every single month. Maybe they're every 6 months or once a year, or maybe it's in 3 years. So they don't work into your regular budget very well. But usually you can anticipate or expect or give a good guess as to what you think they'll be. For example, say your car insurance is every 6 months and it's $600. So you do the math, $600 divided by 6 months, that's $100 a month. So we open a sinking fund or put it in our cash envelope or wherever we're gonna do our sinking funds, and we put $100 every month into that sinking fund. Then when we need it, we have the money there to use it. Works like that for all of your sinking funds. Also, another note is there are so many sinking funds, you don't need all of them. It can be really overwhelming because you might want a ton. Pick a couple that you know you will need and focus on. Now that you know which sinking funds you want and how much you're going to put into them, let's talk about where you should keep them. One place you can keep them is in cash envelopes. This works great if you use cash for all of your expenses. I don't use them, but you could still keep your sinking funds in cash. You can use plain Jane envelope from the store. You can buy or download printable envelopes from Etsy that are cute and you label them. But whatever it is, get one envelope for each sinking fund. On the outside, label it. And then as you put money aside for it, just put the cash in the envelope and keep them tucked away. I would recommend putting them inside a fireproof safe and keeping them somewhere in your house just so you don't lose the money if something happens. Another great place to keep them is at your bank. Wherever you do your banking, whether it's a bank or credit union, open up savings accounts. You would want to open up one savings account for each sinking fund. This works great because then you can physically transfer the money into the accounts and they're all separate so you can see how much is in it. I like to use bank accounts for sinking funds that I get into often. Things like car maintenance, because every couple of months we have a car expense or we're getting the oil changed or we have to register the car. So whenever I have a car expense, I either get on the app on my phone or on my computer, and it takes me like 2 seconds to transfer the money from my savings account into my checking account. A lot of banks or credit unions offer free savings accounts. If that's the case, open up a free savings account, one for each of your sinking funds. If they don't offer a free account, many will waive the monthly fee so long as you're transferring money in. We have a couple of sinking funds set up in different savings accounts at our bank, and I automatically have money transferred into them each month. We've decided how much we think we'll need for the year, and I have it set up so they automatically go into those accounts every month. So I don't have to do anything and I don't get charged fees. So just make sure you look at the fine print so that you're not going to get charged fees for them. If you want to see how I do our monthly budget and how our sinking funds fit into that, check out my video right up there. Another great place to keep your sinking funds is in an online savings account, also known as a high yield savings account. These are very much like opening up a savings account at your bank, but they're online. They don't have a physical presence, which means you do everything online. You don't have to go into the bank, and they can pay you higher interest rates than your bank because they don't have the overhead of physical buildings. The point of your sinking funds is not to earn money on interest, but it's an added benefit. If you're going to be saving money, you might as well earn a few bucks on it. I like to use sinking funds at online savings accounts for sinking funds that I don't get into very often. Things like a down payment for a house or savings up for a new car, because I know I'm not going to need them for a long time. I have them totally separate from our bank account, and I like that it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't see it. I'm not tempted to spend it because it's not in my regular account. The perk of these online savings accounts, you can still link them up to your bank. So ours are linked up to our checking account, and I can set up transfers. I can even do automatic transfers if I'm trying to build up that sinking fund. I personally don't have the apps downloaded on my phone. I even have to look up the login information. So I have my automatic payments put in there, and if I want to transfer money out, I have to look up my login information to do it, so I'm not tempted to do it. There are a lot out there. Just Google best high yield savings accounts. We have used Ally, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Capital One 360, Citibank, I think. There are a lot out there. We've used a lot. They're all great. Ally Bank, I do like the fact you can have one savings account and then you can have, what do they call it? Buckets. You can open up different buckets. So maybe if you want to have, you could open up one account and label different sinking funds as different buckets. So you don't have to open up multiple accounts. But any of them I've been pleased with all of our experience with all of those. If you would like more in-depth explanation of sinking fund versus emergency fund. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell because my next video is all about emergency fund. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much. See you in the next video.